The guys in the booth to the right of us, it was a life and death situation for them.
I think the reason why Dom might have played so bad is because he was alcohol-free.
He's still trying to be alcohol-free.
He intended on being alcohol-free.
Maxi had other plans, though.
And that was, for me, one of the hardest things to do to overcome in my life. And I've had people tell me I'm a bitch about that.
I was standing there in my towel, drying my hair, and I just heard a yoo-hoo.
But then I did what children do. I ratted him out.
Bench opinions. 3 idiots with amateur analysis.
Butter and bacon
Double fat.
and cream.
No, there's no cream in risotto.
Oh, sorry, risotto. Forgot.
It's not an American risotto.
And white wine.
I didn't put white wine in.
You didn't put white wine in.
I didn't have white wine.
But that's the best part of a risotto.
No, it's not.
Just get a little bit fucked up.
That's like saying the best part of a dessert is when they put alcohol in it. That's the worst part of a dessert.
Yeah,
like
desserts.
brandy pudding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Not the biggest fan of that either.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why it can't just be sweet. Like, just enjoy the sweetness. Why do I have to have fucking absinthe in my chocolate mousse?
Okay, that sounds terrible. I don't think that even exists, but I understand the sentiment though. I also don't really like it. It's kind of like, I think you mentioned it before. It's like back in the day when you were a child, your parents used to get like chocolate with sea
Nuts,
salt and black pepper in it or something like that.
85% cocoa.
I love that shit now though.
Now it's nice.
Yeah.
A refined palate now.
Exactly.
Right, we're back with another What a Week segment.
This is correct.
And as the viewers will see, there's only 2 of us.
Where's
As
Dominic?
As the listeners might hear, there's only 2 voices.
Yeah. They finally get to hear our voices.
Dominic is sick, in parentheses.
Coughing up his guts.
That's what he says.
Yeah. Maybe he just doesn't want to be here.
Yeah.
To be fair, he had to do a double session last week, so maybe this is his payback.
Yeah, okay. We'll let this one slide. We wish him all the best. Nothing that a bit of rest and recovery won't fix up.
Do you think we should take an approach like Top Gear, where you leave every man behind?
Well, I am going to criticize him heavily in the beginning part of this segment, so I think that's exactly what's going to happen, yes.
I'm looking forward to this critique. Let's go.
Klaus, why don't you tell the people what we did on Saturday? I mean, some people will have followed it on our socials. I mean, the one post we made.
So, to make a short story a little bit longer, because that's my my secret weapon. A friend of ours, Brian, Dominic, Maxi, and myself, we went to Scotland last year and we had a bit of a golf holiday and we turned it into a little tournament. The teams were Brian and myself, the high handicappers versus the low handicappers, Maximilian and Dominic.
Yes, it's Maximilian even.
Yeah, and
That's my golf name.
the boys got shown up by the high handicappers.
We got our ass whooped.
And as a reward.
By you two. And yeah, the reward was that we pay for an afternoon at a golf simulator here in Berlin, which we went to on Saturday. We booked it for February because we thought it would be terrible weather, but I think it was like 15 degrees and sunshine outside.
It was the nicest day of the year.
Yeah. Either way, we were locked in there and we were ready to go.
Yeah. And then we started playing and it was pretty even Stevens for most of it. I think Brian and I were edging it out just ever so slightly. When I say Brian and I meant to say Brian.
Yeah, you.
I couldn't hit the ball straight. It wasn't even like slicing or fading it. I was just hitting it straight right.
You shanked a few. I think your longest drive was like 170 meters.
Yeah, the driver was
struggling
not my friend.
with the driver.
The guys in the booth to the right of us, it was a life and death situation for them. I'm surprised nobody got hit.
They didn't look like they were having good times at all. So we got down. We booked the thing for 2 hours. After 2 hours, Dom and I were leading by 5 shots.
Yes.
And then the guy who ran the thing said, "You guys can stay. The next group isn't here yet. Just order another round of drinks."
So we got an additional 30 mints to launch a comeback.
And that's what we did. And then we capitulated, and Dom and I ended up losing by 3 shots, which is an 8-shot swing.
In 2 holes.
Yeah. And here comes my critique of my playing partner. I mean,
here we go. He's
Dom,
not
I
even
love
here
you.
to defend himself.
But what the fuck was going on there? Aiming out 100 meters right, not bringing it back, all over the show. All over the show.
I'm not going to lie. I think I got to him. I was a little bit on the sauce, and I was in a very rowdy mood, so I was causing a lot of cuck.
You did get to him,
and I think it mentally weighed heavy on him.
I mean, to be fair, the situation Klaus referring to, he did give him shit once, and Dom reacted quite spicily to it. But we were all giving each other shit, so it was. I mean, on the first hole, I think I was on 9 shots by the time you guys let me pick up because I kept hitting it over the green, playing ping pong. So you've got to take your shit and run.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Dom might have played so bad is because he was alcohol free for the month of Feb up until we got to the simulator golf.
And he's still trying to be alcohol free.
He intended on being alcohol free.
Maxi had other plans though.
Well, no, don't say it like that because it sounds like I tried to drug him. He asked me for an alcohol free beer, and I, by mistake, got him a alcohol one.
A non-alcohol free beer.
A non-alcohol one. And then after 2 beers, he was like, I'm feeling quite buzzed. I wonder why. And then he looked at his bottle and it was just a normal wheat beer. So apologies for that. It seems a bit intense, but I didn't do it on purpose.
No. You had asked the guy 5 times, is this the beer I should be taking? And he didn't seem to really correct you.
He was stumped by the idea that someone wanted to drink an alcohol-free beer at that place. It reminded me of a story that we went on a trip with friends once when we were a lot younger. I think we must have been like 18 or 19. And there was like 16, 17 of us at Kai's farm, friend of ours.
Oh, yeah.
And we obviously had to cook in shifts.
Right.
And the one night it was our friend Frank's turn to cook.
We love Frank.
And he cooked this pasta and we were all sitting down enjoying the food. And everyone was like, oh, this is really good. Frank, what did you, Nadeem, a Muslim friend asks, what did you put in it? And Frank's like, this, and a whole bottle of white wine. And Nadeem spits it out and he's like, I'm not allowed to drink alcohol, Frank. Frank's like, oh, shit. Sorry, man. Luckily, Nadeem could laugh about it because I think if you take that shit serious, very serious, then that's kind of intense.
Did Frank try and save himself by saying, but the alcohol has evaporated?
No. I think on that same trip, Frank also, it was his second turn to cook, and I think he left all the meat in the deep freeze. By the time it was his turn to cook, nothing was defrosted. So, can't remember how that story ended. But Fiona and I had to cook.
Did he just sear the outside?
Can't remember what he did. I think that was the initial problem. That's how it went. He forgot the meat in the deep freeze, then he had to pivot to the pasta. And he made the pasta, and the pasta had wine in it.
Okay.
To be fair, the pasta was pretty good.
Not so much for Nadeem.
Not so much for Nadeem. And then Fiona and I had to cook on that holiday too. And cooking for 17 people is quite stressful. And we got really baked. We smoked a joint, and then we had to braai for 17 people, and it was fucking real. It was intense.
You like those one of those guys who has the 2 meter by 1 meter braais, and you've got to manage the chicken at the same time as the pork chops, and the rashes are already black.
Yeah. You know at those Christmas markets where they've got the nakken steaks and the wurst, and they've got this on this huge round thing.
Yeah.
That's what it was like, except that we were high.
And you've never done it before.
It's weird though, because when you're high, you're it's stressful, but you're also super zoned in. You
feel like you're in the zone there.
Yeah. Do you remember that? I used to like to do that. I used to like to, during the COVID days, on Saturday mornings, smoke a joint and then go to the supermarket, the most stressful place on earth in that time.
A little behind the scenes story to this is you need to realize that Maxi isn't the biggest fan of crowds. So that could have gone horribly wrong. The fact that he was throwing himself into the what do you call it? The
hustle and bustle.
Peak hour of shopping.
Yeah, it was hectic. And I used to take a shopping cart and everything and just
cruise.
Glide through the aisles. I think you know what it felt like? You know, sometimes in Hollywood movies where they have this, they focus on the main actor and around them there's just it's like a beehive of people. That's what I felt like. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the main actor anyway.
How do you... Okay.
You're all just part of my movie.
This is some humility coming from the left side of the couch here. Why did you stop that?
It's quite intense to because you smoke a joint, then you go shopping, and when you shop, obviously you buy a lot of shit because you get hungry.
Right.
So
it just got too expensive.
I also can't roll joints because of my tremor, so it's quite difficult to like sustain a weed habit.
Maxi is essentially just smoking the paper because everything's fallen out.
I used to have to make these cones and then scoop it up, and then I remember you doing that. But then you end up with these massive baseball bat-sized joints that you have to smoke. And it's also just, I enjoy it now and then, but it does put you in a very lethargic mood, and often the day can then turn into just a day on the couch if you're not out and about.
I was going to say it might be good for the 1 to 2 hours that you go shopping and post shopping, but then the rest of your day is kind of done.
You know what I love is when we go to a park or we're out and about in summer, and then Martin rolls like a small one or something like that.
Yeah,
and then
just to take the edge off.
Yeah, it's like afternoon, the sun's warm, you're a little bit baked, maybe you cycle home, everything's just sort of like...
I remember you always saying you loved cycling.
Yeah.
Because you're flying.
The one time I got high at after we hung out in the park with some other friends, and then I was like, now I'm going to take a scooter home, and I put the joint behind my ear, and I was scootering home, and then the wind blew it out, and then I had to park the thing and like with my torch scurry around the floor like some sort of drug addict looking for his fucking injections, but didn't find it.
Committed to the cause.
Yeah. I've started to the problem is I've started to like really feel my body a lot when I smoke weed, so that like I'm like, my back's uncomfortable, and then I'm like, then I have to lie on the floor, do like some stretches. It's not agreeing with me anymore.
There's a lot of self-reflecting going on there.
It's basically my therapy couch here.
Yeah. Give me some observation of the week that you've experienced.
It's tough because I didn't necessarily observe one thing that stood out. I did have not an interesting day. I had a very frustrating day at work today in terms of, I know you are very similar in the sense that the one thing that bothers me the most is a mixture of incompetence,
here we go,
stupidity, and the inability to think like just around the corner or just outside the box.
Yeah.
And it was a colleague that I was arguing with via email, and it drove me nuts because we were arguing about the definition of something, and we were both just sending each other definitions of it, and he just couldn't I had sources upon sources upon sources validating my point, and he just couldn't understand it, and it drove me fucking nuts. And it all centers around the fact that he was just like no, this is the way we've always done it. This is what the rules say, and this is the way we have to do it. And I was just thinking to myself, you, sir, should work for the Amt here.
Yeah.
Because that's how they work, is, no, if you don't follow the rules from 1 to 10, you do not get what you want.
Understanding the definition of this word, was it imperative to what was trying to be done?
Well, Klaus, it's part of my business is import-export. I was trying to send shit to France, and this guy was like, we can't sell to France anymore. I was like, our neighbor, why can't we sell to them anymore? And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but this is where it centered around, is he said, it is now impossible for us to sell goods to France. And I said, I don't believe you. That doesn't sound right.
Me not knowing what it's actually about except for the export to France, I call bullshit on his claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I did what children do. I ratted him out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I took the whole email chain and I sent it to the superior. I was like, listen, this is what's happening. These oaks are refusing to work with me.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know. So essentially I bitched. But,
Dude, sometimes this is what needs to be done.
Yeah. Then I saw him in the kitchen and it was fucking awkward. Because then I was like, hello. And he was like,
And why did you guys not have this conversation in person? Because you wanted to have a document?
He's like a recluse vibe.
Right, okay.
If you approach him, he like fucking like jolts and like melts together, and he can't like talk to you. And it's also good to have these things in writing so that I can then
so you got proof.
Bitch about it to a superior. What did you observe this week, Klaus, or last week?
What did I observe? I made an observation at gym today, funnily enough.
Glad to hear you went to gym, because when I woke up this morning, I heard your alarm, but I didn't see you.
No, I you know the snooze button? I decided to use the other button next to it. Also
Just turn that motherfucker off.
Just known as the off button. No, I had a meeting at Soho House, which is one of my other observations, but I'll get to that just now. So I figured I might as well go to the gym, which is right next to Soho House, and I went for a bit of a run. What I observed was I was standing there in my towel, drying my hair, and I just heard a yoo-hoo from the door. Didn't really know what was happening. Nobody seemed too fazed about the fact that somebody was calling out. And then in walks a very attractive lady, and she was mopping the floor. And I assumed she was signalizing, I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Hide everything that needs to be hidden.
If you want.
You
should.
But I'm coming in. And the thing, I don't actually know where I'm going with this conversation, but the thing that I thought in the moment was, you definitely couldn't send a man to go mop the floors in the ladies' changing room.
No, you can't.
And it was fascinating to me that nobody bat an eyelid.
No, but it is like that in a lot of the gym. Well, I work for the company that runs the gym, so I can tell you that if you're employed there, you have to clean the bathrooms. Obviously, women also have to clean the men's or just wipe through there. I mean, in essence, I guess if you're covered, it doesn't matter. And if they give you a little signal, then you can cover up. You should cover up, because I don't think they want to see anything. So,
Yeah. It was also interesting to see there was a couple of sort of interactions with some of the guys. It kind of sounded like they knew each other.
Probably.
But there was a little bit of like sexual teasing in that sense. Like, oh, did you come in to come look at something? Didn't show anything. You didn't flash or anything like that. But I was like, this
sounds like a terrible job to have.
Yeah, I mean, I bent down to tie my shoelaces, and some dude just started using the locker right in front of me. And when I looked up, he had just dropped his drawers.
The way you were motioning, I thought that's something. I thought the way you bent down to tie your shoelaces and he swiped a credit card through your bum crack.
No. I was fully clothed at that point. But he was a little bit in my space, and by virtue, I was also in his space.
Men's changing rooms, a wild place.
Yeah, 100%. The other observation that I had was, have you been to Soho House before?
Only in the restaurant downstairs.
Have you?
It's like a private members club, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And a hotel?
And a hotel and a gym, and it's got its own cinema, and it's got various restaurants and bars within the building. And
all very
elite.
Oh, elite,
yeah.
Upmarket, I was going to say.
Yeah. Hoity-toity, as they say.
Right.
And every time I go there, I mean, the location and everything is very nice, but every time I go there, I'm always fascinated by the types of people that are there. Often quite young, and I know that it costs like 120, 150 euros a month to be a member at this location. Gym membership is included, so that's a big bonus, I guess. But I'm always fascinated about the amount of money that people spend to be there and be seen.
Yeah.
I've been told a lot that it's a great place to network and make connections. I don't know how exactly. I don't know if people are just like sitting there around me, like walking up to others with like business ideas.
I think it's lingering. You've got to linger.
Yeah.
Just stand outside the toilets with business cards.
But it's been suggested to me that I become a member there because it would be good for business.
For 150 euros a month?
Yeah.
Jesus. Why don't you just stand outside the front door?
Then they might not think that I'm a videographer. They might think
you've got to constantly pretend like you're on your way in or out. You've got to just like, hey, I'm also on my way in. Hey, I'm Klaus. I'm also a member here. I'm a videographer. Just constantly pretend like you're coming and going.
That's not on brand for me. I don't know if
I'm not a very good
off.
networker in general, so it sounds like my absolute worst nightmare.
Yeah. Also, the fact that all of them are so young, or not all of them, but the fact that there's a large majority of people that are really young, and when I say young, I'm thinking like early 20s, maybe not even 20.
Ugh, it sounds very pretentious.
I don't know if I'm going to get much business out of that.
It sounds very much like it's a see and be seen, and often in those scenarios, it's very much a sort of just people like to talk and they just fill the airways. Essentially what we're doing now.
100%.
But nothing ever comes of it, you know? It's just
as we're doing now. No, I'm joking.
We have been running a very successful podcast for the last 6 months.
We have been running a podcast for the last 6 months.
Klaus, we define what very successful is. We're still here.
We define success by happiness. And I love this. So, successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe on a closing note, I'm going to Carnival in Cologne this weekend.
Yes, you
from Sunday to Tuesday.
You might have to explain to some people out there what...
Well, I mean, it's Carnival, you know. It's what you would think of Carnival. It's not like Brazil.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like Brazil, just less boobies.
It's raining and it's grey and it's in Cologne. But the people in Cologne are awesome. Some of the friendliest in Germany. Good vibes. My only big concern is I'm going there with a group of friends from work, and they're all super fun, but they're also super rowdy. And I'm getting massive anxiety about the train trip there because they're already discussing who's bringing a speaker onto the train, who's bringing alcohol, like what we're drinking. And I can't do it. I get massive anxiety because I do not want to be the group of people who are playing loud music in a train.
And get kicked off halfway there.
Yeah.
Because then you got to take a
bus. So now I think the only solution is I'm going to lock myself in the toilets for 4 hours.
So the alcohol part... That's all right.
That's all right. Because, I mean, we get drunk and obnoxious everywhere.
Yeah. It's the speaker.
So I had a word with one of the girls today who was, I think she's the ringleader in all of this. Okay. And I was just like, is there any way we can like keep the speaker off? And she was like, I'm just going to put it on softly. So I was like, I'm fucked.
No. Oaks are going to get upset on that train and they're going to come after you.
Yeah. I'm really bad with that sort of, I care too much what other people think. You remember that time when we got to the airport on time, but check-in took so long that we had to skip the queue
when we were trying to get down
security.
to Portugal.
So Berlin airport is an absolute shit show regardless when you fly. And the security queues are long. But like when I mean long, it's like lanes and lanes of people. Everyone's in a bad mood because it's Germany and they're delayed for their flight. And we had to jump the queue. So we had to just... In the beginning, we were asking people and we were like, sorry, our flight's leaving soon. But you just get constantly people being like... Yeah, well, I don't care, get here earlier. Yeah. And then eventually we just had to push past people. And that was, for me, one of the hardest things to do to overcome in my life. And I've had people tell me I'm a bitch about that afterwards. Yeah. They're like, I can't believe you care. And I'm like, yes. I was considering just missing my flight.
That would have been more bearable.
I was like, just let it leave without me.
No, I remember
which I realize is absolutely ridiculous. But
yeah. The thing is, we were there on time. We couldn't check in any sooner because
they were so slow.
The actual check-in counters hadn't opened yet, so we were there before the check-in counters had opened.
But we were at the back of the queue that had formed, and by the time we got to the front, check-in was closing, and we were like, "Well, we're here."
Yeah, but that's because they were so slow, and they only opened 2 counters. There's only a limited amount.
I think I need to get over that fear, you know, because I think in general, like, there's nothing wrong with just being like, listen.
So I've got that fear at work because maybe this is not good advertising for what I do.
I don't know if you're going to find that many clients with this podcast.
Maybe not. Regardless. Anyway, so the thing is, I often have to do like event recaps and either in photo or in video.
Oh yeah, I remember
and
you
so
telling me
I
about
often,
this.
you know, if they're on stage and there's people in a crowd, no problem. People are focused on the stage anyway. So you can go and you can take your photos of behind the scenes kind of stuff, right? But they always want to have photos of people having a coffee and cake afterwards or during dinner.
Just candid shots.
And there's me really close up with the camera while somebody's trying to shove a sausage roll down their gullet.
This is essentially what I want you to do for me on my holidays.
Yeah, and you keep on complaining that you don't like it. But with you, I feel comfortable enough to do it.
That's true.
With these people, I get myself like a 400mm lens so I can go stand on the other side of the room and then snipe.
I can imagine how that's uncomfortable.
And other photographers say to me, they're like, dude, it's your job. Get over it. You're not going to see these people again.
Yeah, that's true. All right, should we wrap it up for What a Week?
I just wanted to say a little bit of advice for your trip to Carnival. We once went on a company trip to Dortmund for the opening of the football museum there. And on the way back, we went to the bistro and started drinking there and got super, super rowdy. And then the rest of the company joined us, and there was like 50 people squished into this thing. And they actually sold out all of their drinks.
So my hope is
they enjoyed.
My hope is that because it's a train to Cologne during Carnival time, that there will be a lot of people on that train partying, but I doubt it because it's just also not, I don't know. I'll report back.
Yeah.
I get thrown out halfway and I'm now stuck somewhere in middle Germany with a pink tracksuit on because that's what I'm wearing to Carnival.
Please let us know on Instagram.
Oh, well. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. That's another segment of What a Week. A little bit shorter this time.
A little bit short, just ever so slightly, just maybe by half. If you're interested in rugby, that episode will be coming out tomorrow. Football, the day thereafter. And then at the end of the week, once again, we will have the leftovers, which Dominic has so titled. And that would be a mix of any of the sporting events that transpired over the last week.
See you then.
Cheerio.